Hello, and welcome to our STEM Innovative Showcase. In 2013, we asked the question, what can we do at a local level to respond to changes in education and make it more meaningful for our students? We decided to combine science, math, and technology courses into a single project-based STEM learning experience within our secondary school. So now the school has a collaborative student cohort that tackles month-long real-world projects like traffic management, automation, alternative energy, and more. The purpose of this presentation is to share what our program looks like, how did we implement advice from current educational literature, for example, and then talk a bit about how we might scale this to other schools and districts. But let's get right into it with a short example of a senior project in our STEM program.
Hi, I'm Nick Murray. I'm a grade 12 student in STEM this year. And so this project sort of had two components to it. The first part was to create a functional solar farm that we would then place on the roof to generate electricity for our classroom. However, this was shut down due to regulations, so we actually ended up working more on our proof of concept solar tracker, which was sort of a smaller scale version of things implemented in industry, and it's basically able to find the brightest light source and follow and direct the solar panel towards that to maximize its efficiency.
To work on this project, we had to understand many concepts, including the photovoltaic and photoelectric effect, light-dependent resistors, and analyzing and solving circuits. We also had to familiarize ourselves with many skills, including working with the microcontroller Arduino, which we've worked with in the past in the STEM program, and coding, as well as creating a feedback loop, and many other skills went into the process of this project.
This project relied very heavily on the coding aspect of it. So as a result, we put a lot of research and time into being able to take the information that the LDR provided and kind of relay that through the code along with the Arduino to kind of accurately control the actuators.
Well, we were able to successfully complete a proof of concept solar tracker that used two calibrated light-dependent resistors along with a 180 degrees of rotation servo attached to a feedback sensor actuator system that took the input from the light-dependent resistor and determined what the brightest object was in the sensor's field of view and which direction should orientate the panel to get the highest efficiency of light crossing it.
What made a huge impression on me was the fact that we were able to create on a smaller scale something that would be so important for our planet, and we were able to create it for under $25.
What I took away from this project is the knowledge that there's a lot of public resources that you can find online everywhere, and they're not so readily available. And the good thing about that is, like, a lot of them you can implement in your daily life to kind of solve issues that you see out in the world, which is kind of a undervalued resource that we all have.
Well, the part of the project that really made an impression on me was the fact that we were using off-the-shelf components to sort of mimic something that's actually being done in places all around the world. I think that it's really important to sort of develop the skills and understanding of technologies that are actually important and out there in the world, and how they can actually have a real application to do something like create clean energy.
In the 8 years, the program has grown from a single senior cohort to 5 cohorts spanning all grades. We see improved engagement, attendance, graduation rates, and it has broadened post-secondary opportunities for our students. We believe the program is scalable. So, how did we do it? And more importantly, how can other districts start their own STEM programs?
My name is Mike Engeveld, and I've been teaching math and science in British Columbia high schools for the last 21 years.
My name is Carl Janzi, and I've been teaching technology-based and special ed courses in British Columbia high schools for the last 24 years.
So respectively, we are the science and math
and the tech and the engineering
of this program. So we've taught together in the same urban school for the last 14 years, and we formed a partnership when we realized that an interdisciplinary project-based approach might be the way to improve engagement for our students.
So we're in a major Canadian urban center and have approximately 900 students in grades 8 to 12 from a diverse range of cultural and socioeconomic backgrounds.
Students have 8 courses a year spread across 2 semesters. So the STEM would occur, say, in semester 2. You'd have all 4 STEM courses, and the schedule shown here shows how we might spread out the projects from February to June. So So the normal school day runs from 9 a.m. till 3 p.m. about, and you can see the schedule here. A regular student schedule might have the courses sort of spread out through the day and not necessarily connected thematically, whereas the student STEM schedule has got all the courses that are related to STEM in the same semester together.
So how did this start? Three things came together for us in 2013. First, we were given a release time to collaborate with other departments. Together, we explored and developed a common belief that the role of teachers in schools is changing, and we looked for ways to leverage the new technologies around us. The second element was the provincial curriculum had transformed in a significant way. Teaching to the test and prescribed learning outcomes were replaced with the philosophy that competencies are the destination and content is just the vehicle. The freedom to choose different content depending on the situation was pivotal. The final piece came when a local tech company approached our school district with a question: how can we encourage more students to pursue STEM careers?
At that point, our team of 6 teaching staff and the school administrator formed an inquiry question. And over several release days, we met with district admin, post-secondary instructors, and industry. And we also made a site visit to a STEM school in Kent, Washington for inspiration. And we came away with this plan. Create a project-based learning pilot program that connects all the STEM departments and cohorts students into problem-solving teams that tackle ungoogleable problems. We use existing course codes and descriptions to match with the grad requirements, and in an effort to remove barriers for students and families, we don't pre-screen or test. In the case of oversubscription, we just run a lottery for placements. In our first year, sign-up was low, so we ran a combined cohort actually of grade 11 and 12 students. And in this case, the biggest challenge for staff was finding projects that somehow connected all the core competencies across the 8 different subjects. It was a baptism by fire, but we soon knew more about the competencies of other departments at the end of that year and started using planning grids like the one shown to track and ensure a balanced diet across all projects. And 8 years later, this core format is still in place, and we've completed close to 100 projects. So here's a short video in which students describe the STEM program in their own words.
We're doing lots of stuff. We're learning all the parts in Mr. Janzi's computer class right now. We're learning about all the parts of computers, and we just finished a big project all on coding, which is really fun.
And what project is that?
Plant keeper. So we all got sensors, and we're trying to. My group did soil moisture, so we just made code to sense the moisture in the soil of our greenhouse.
Okay.
And it realized that, and I guess another group now is compiling all that data and making everything run as kind of one whole unit with everybody's different sensors in the one greenhouse.
Okay.
And that's kind of their project right now.
A light sensor, a pH sensor, a soil moisture sensor, a CO2 sensor, an O2 sensor.
By the way, Mr.
So I got Darrow and Elias's air moisture code, but it's not working.
What's not working?
So some people's code is
You
not
can't access it, or it won't
No,
run?
their code
No,
doesn't
they
work.
say their code doesn't work. So we don't know if we should fix it or
Yes.
if they should.
No, you should fix it.
So they'll send it to us and we'll just fix it.
We're
You
probably
just fix
gonna have to fix every code.
You
Anyway.
probably
Yeah.
have to fix every code.
Okay.
It's gonna have to get it down.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, that's why you guys are the star crew. We put together the best.
We're building a computer workstation. So we have 3 different designs that we have, which is one over here, and another over here. So we're gonna ask each of our classmates, because this is for their use. We want to see which one would they like to have. So we're gonna go around asking people, hey, which one would you like? And they would either vote or like say what we want, or if they don't like any of them, give us a suggestion. And whichever one people like the most, we'll probably build. Or if people have like a new idea, we'll look into that and see if we can incorporate it.
We get asked a lot about how the projects flow. How do the subjects work together? Let's take a look at a typical day for STEM students. There's a senior project to design the best possible popsicle stick model bridge for a local competition. And students have already completed and tested their first prototype. On Tuesday, STEM students come to the lab at 8:40 a.m. and the tech instructor, that's me, introduces the agenda. First up is a lesson in spreadsheet functions. Yesterday afternoon, the students learned how to analyze the forces in a truss with the math and physics instructor. Now they were building a spreadsheet model that allows them to change the height of the bridge design and see how it affects the strength. Students work in pair with shared online documents and reference the previous day's notes to build their formulas. The bell goes and it's break. Then, instead of switching classes, the student cohort returns for the other half of the morning and the new problem is introduced. It was found during the prototyping stage that not all popsicle sticks are the same strength. Now teams are assigned to design and build a simple nutcracker press to test the strength of the sticks and enter that data into a class-wide online spreadsheet. They have lunch, and when they return, they are back with the math and physics instructor for the rest of the afternoon.
So that's me. Normal distributions are the first on the agenda, and based on their nutcracker data and the visual clues, they'll design a rejection filter to select the best possible popsicle sticks for their next model. With about an hour left in the day at about 2 p.m., a question is posed for discussion. Is there an optimal height for designs? The spreadsheets the other day or in the morning showed that increasing the height seems to improve the strength, but also we've noticed that taller, longer members seem to buckle more easily when they're slender. So is there an optimal length? Students are encouraged to research and design destructive tests that will explore how the length affects the compressive strength of the beams. And during this time in the background, teams are also working on their latest design because their bridge prototypes are due at the end of the week.
So this project was designed to have 2 to 3 iterative cycles. The instructor's role is to be fluid with their guidance and provide scaffolded hands-on experiences that flow from student ideas and emergent problems. The teachers generally work within their expertise, but the borders between math, physics, and technology are not really a thing. The project is allowed to flow where it needs to go. Each project cycle begins with exploring prior knowledge, the building of a prototype based only on what you already know, and ends with a critical reflection exercises. What met your expectations? What surprised you? What advice would you give to future bridge builders? The entire project takes about 4 weeks and ends with a video presentation showcase that the students add to their technical project portfolio. To keep up with students' different ideas and challenges, the teachers debrief daily, and the final assessment of competencies is based on the presentation, the physical artifact, and student interviews. In this way, we complete 6 to 7 projects per year, matching them up to competencies that are a good fit.
In every case, the objective is well defined, but the solution path is unknown and flexible. So students are encouraged to use natural problem-solving strategies that you would see in any real workplace, like sharing ideas with peers, looking for solutions online, and building prototypes. The final project of every year is always exciting for students. It's a capstone in which they select and solve a problem of their own choosing. And what we hope as instructors is to see students pulling together the project experiences of the year and being able to manage their own exploration. So in a sense, it's a form of a long-form final exam. So here are 2 examples of students showcasing their choice projects that are based on their personal passions, one for sport and the other student for agriculture.
This is a model of a leg and showing the ligaments and muscles, and it demonstrates how easily our legs and muscles compare and common injuries in sports.
Okay, so then you've got here a sheet that goes along this, sort of summarizing some research. You've got knee injuries, ankle sprains, hamstring strain, and quadricep strain. So let's take a look at, why don't you explain what these muscles down the middle are doing right over here?
These muscles are the ACL and MCL muscles.
Or sort of ligaments, I guess, right?
Yeah. This is the ACL, and typically it's a really common sports injury. And it tends to tear when you move your knee in a kind of not great way.
Like twisting your knee?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. And so then these things here, are these just, does this just represent like what would ordinarily be an attachment, or are they literally like looped around like that?
They actually are an attachment, yeah.
Oh, okay. Very cool. And then maybe one more. I've got your tibia and fibia, I guess, right? And then your Show me what an ankle injury looks like.
So an ankle injury typically is like when you roll your ankle and you basically your foot goes like that and all the muscles strain that way.
Okay, I got it. Excellent. Well, that's great. Thanks.
This is an Arduino with an LCD and a CO2 sensor and a humidity and temperature sensor.
Okay.
And what I've made is so that when I pull down this button, it shows me a menu where I can set the minimum and max humidity. And if the humidity is below the minimum humidity, it'll turn on a humidifier. But right now I have an LED as a stand-in. And now if I raise the humidity, it should go above the max, which should turn off the humidifier in a second or two, I hope. Yeah,
there you go. All right on.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Nice. And you're doing this as what? Like, what project is this?
This is my RLA one.
Which is?
I want to make a like automated, like the gourmet mushrooms like grow tank, and this is automating humidity and temperature and stuff like that.
Right. And so this is something that you're doing as a part of your remote learning.
Yeah.
So, have we accomplished what we set out to do? Looking back, our framing of the problem appears to be an almost universal teaching experience, but our proposed solution has required many iterations. We started with an issue of low student engagement and guessed that it was linked to low student agency and badly situated content. Things weren't real enough. The most exciting difference for us has been the student engagement in projects and the passion and confidence it builds over 5 years. It has been a shift from extrinsic to intrinsic. Students tell us and show us that they really love the flexibility and authentic nature of the problems. We see it in the extra hours, the noisy but on task classes, and the final products. When matched with their interests, magic happens. Students especially enjoy collaborating with our peers. Visitors to the program always tell us that student ownership of learning is what really stands out. So we take special care to explicitly teach students how to work in teams, including defining goals, tasks, and roles.
A common worry is that a focus on competencies instead of content will come at the cost of academic rigor. And certainly moving away from textbooks and regular worksheets was a significant cultural shift for us. And we had to defend that focus on problem solving and projects to both students and to parents. This is especially true with mathematics. What we found is that when the math is embedded in real problems, it can seem as though the math is not even really there. There's not enough X's and Y's, I guess. We get this from students. Will I be ready for post-secondary if I don't know how to complete the square? Or, I see my non-STEM friends studying different topics than us, things that maybe don't come up in projects very naturally. And that's a common source of anxiety. So we're happy to report that after tracking 7 years of graduates who head into STEM fields, the alumni tell us that they were well prepared for post-secondary. And in the case of problem solving and project work in second and third year, they're actually significantly ahead. So as a final observation, we find that the majority of graduates continue in STEM-based post-secondary programs, and our earliest graduates are now entering STEM careers in high numbers. STEM industries are very aware that STEM fields and career paths are leaky pipelines, and we were asked, can we make it leak less? We chose project-based as an approach to STEM because it closely resembles what real STEM professionals do. And naturally develops relevant skills. So the rationale that we had together was that if students are exposed to STEM career-like projects, they might see the attraction and stay. So a welcome surprise for us has been that some students, after taking STEM, hadn't even really considered STEM careers and decide to stay in it.
In the past 8 years, we've seen lots of visiting educators, administrators, and government policy makers. They often ask us, is this program scalable? We say yes, but how do you do that? A recent Freakonomics radio episode explores the science of scaling. Guest academics John List and Dana Susskind break down their scalability research into 3 buckets. Bucket 1 asks, is this really worth scaling up? In essence, are we exaggerating our benefit to the students? Can we be objective about our own program? There is no single metric that we can point to, and we're not running a controlled experiment. It's really just a lot of little things that add up to a big thing. The best answer we have is that with 45 years of combined teaching experience, we see students engaged differently than we saw before, in a way that we think is better. In numbers, our attendance is above the school average. Our enrollment is at capacity, and local universities are calling to ask for names of our graduates. We perform better than average on problem-solving events like the University of Waterloo's annual math contests, and started to perform very well in regional and national science fairs. Graduates are accepted to special engineering teams more often and receive scholarship offers more frequently. Perhaps most importantly, our students are becoming intrinsic learners, especially when it comes to capstone projects. They no longer ask, is this going to be for marks? Right. They love the flexibility and cooperative nature of projects, and students demonstrate higher order thinking more frequently. We have researchers worked with us before, and there's a lot of potential here to study the impact of our intervention. We are excited to work with others to continue this more formally.
Which brings us to bucket 2. The second bucket is really about target audience. Effectively, are we seeing positive results because we formed a crack squad of elite students? We would say no. The population we work with is the same throughout the district. We don't screen, and we use a lottery of spaces limited. So, for example, if you looked at the STEM population along metrics like special learning designations, you would see that the group is reflective of the general school population, with one exception: gender diversity. There's enough here for a completely different presentation, and it is a gap that we are definitely trying to address. We know that many other people, including industry, are trying to address that same issue. The third bucket list in Susquehanna and Identify is what they call voltage drop, or effectively, can others do it? In our experience running workshops, the content and competency knowledge is there for teachers already. It's just a matter of shifting philosophies and their concept of role in the classroom. So this is not to dismiss the challenges of changing an entire culture of schooling, only just to say that when it comes to dreaming up projects and activities, Carl and I do not have a secret sauce other than the gift of time and the permission to try something different.
So we review and refine our program every year. After year 5, we began to share our experiences more extensively with other academics, and we've observed a system-level inertia that is much larger than we expected. Our provincial leadership has championed PBL and STEM at many levels for nearly a decade, yet only a handful of districts have programs started, and there is no centralized resource for STEM learning. In our own context, support comes and goes with school-level administration, especially around student schedules. While at the senior bureaucratic level, enthusiasm and support remains high. So there is a disconnect there that affects scalability.
On the regional scale, coordination is also challenging. We approached our provincial professional development association, for example, and pitched a STEM group to connect new adopters and organize activities. That was the idea. We were told that any new group could not overlap with areas already covered by the science, math, and technology groups that exist. So it's not just a pedagogical shift for teachers and students that's needed. It would also require a structural shift for the educational systems around it. So we need something that would help the different actors and at different levels to coordinate their actions.
Based on our experiences, we would submit 4 things to consider for any district interested in creating a meaningful STEM project-based learning experience for students. First and foremost is the gift of time and permission. Time to plan, compare domains, and look for connections. Time to become a team that knows how to work together. And time to reflect on successes and failures. There is simply not enough time in the margins of the day to transform one's practice. Our district and administration invested in our pilot program. And those early release days are paying dividends. In our earliest days, our administration made it clear that they knew that not everything would work out, and that it was okay for us to face plant while reinventing ourselves. This gave us the courage and the confidence to try new things.
Another consideration would be to create a system-level space for PBL STEM positive staff to connect and share resources in whatever form might evolve. So when presenting to other educators, the #1 request from us is to share examples of projects and student work. Finding and curating resources for every project is quite different than the experience of using a textbook. In many ways, the project plans are more of a map of possibilities than a strict compendium of resources or lesson plan. So we know that there are educators across the province that are neck deep in STEM without many examples to look to or professionals to collaborate with. So in this province, we would recommend forming a STEM professional specialist forum that can operate within the existing professional development network rather than the current ad hoc relationship that we have.
A third consideration would be to establish a STEM PBL teaching experience in teacher education programs. In our district, we are not aware of any project-based practicums on offer for student teachers. This is somewhat of a chicken and egg problem. Since there are so few instances of STEM PBL in practice, it is difficult to place teacher candidates who then miss out on the opportunity during their formative experiences and may see it as a scary option to begin once they're actually teaching. A district-supported collaboration between STEM, interested teachers, and local universities could provide these experiences for new teachers.
Finally, in a journey of 1,000 steps, the investment in STEM education needs to be longitudinal. So in our case, it took 3 years of consistent focus to get a STEM program up and running with good collaborative relationships, an understanding of the new teaching role, and having our students at the center of their learning. So during that time, we attended design thinking workshops. We were given time to go to conferences from industry. We were afforded paid summer sessions to keep up with the planning and reflect on the past year. So examples of these types of investments already exist within our district. So our board is invested, for example, in a group that meets regularly to refine assessment. They also have a support group for early career educators. So similar ongoing investments in STEM PBL collaborations would go a long way to supporting the development of STEM programming in other schools.
We started our inquiry in 2013 in large part because we could see that technology was changing both what was possible and what was expected. Our STEM program is designed to bring the student to the center of the classroom and prioritize the development of problem solving and collaboration strategies. We see encouraging signs of transformation as students are given permission to own their own learning. We believe that this design is scalable and encourage support and investment in educators as they redefine their role in the STEM classroom. Thank you.
Thank you.